Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Club Pro Chatter, Season 5, Episode 6. Greg Snow coming to you live from the Olivia Golf Club, and my co-host, Scotty McDonald, coming to us live from the construction zone. My daughter just came back from Alexandria yesterday, and she was taking on some dirt roads, Scotty. Scotty McDonald, where are you live from again? Is it Alex or Glenwood? I always forget.
Alexandria, we're live and back. It's we had a little family vacation and excited to be back.
Little family vacation. Oh, that's right. You went up north.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit. You went way north, I believe, right, Scotty?
To the end of the universe.
Hey, you don't look sunburned, so it must have not been the coldest weather, the warmest weather. But we'll get into that maybe a little bit when we have some a major announcement to make later in our show. We'll save that for late on the agenda. So, Scotty, want to first start off by apologizing. It is June 28th on the top of my agenda. Excuse me, July 28th. On the top of my agenda, I have July 21st. And there's a reason why I need to apologize, is that was my fault. I thought I had time to get down to the dump. The Snows were cleaning out some old bedroom suites and an old grill. And we went down to the dump, which is 5 miles south of Olivia, pulled up into the dump station, where you get weighed. And we sat there for 10 minutes and we had nothing. And I didn't, there's a phone number. We tried that. Oh, we heard it ring inside, but nothing changed. So we ended up having to go down to Redwood, which is another 15 miles. So I'm sitting there going, I got to ask the Club Pro Chatter people if we can move this, because I'm not going to make it back. And you guys also really accommodated, because you're all good people. And you said, gee, we get it. And so we had to move this. So I apologize for that. Scotty, what do you got?
Well, I should apologize too, because we had to move it due to me as well. So this has been a mess, but it's worked out, because now we've got the full team together for the first time in as long as I can remember. So it's very exciting to see everyone on this show. Apologies. Again, I called the Fortinet Tour, the Mackenzie Tour last time. Jack called me out on it. Even though in my defense, it hadn't went into effect yet as the Fortinet Tour. So there's that. And then Jack does have some apologies. Remember, we kind of grilled him. And, as he does sometime under the pressure, he waffled a little bit. So how did the players get Korn Ferry status? He didn't know. So the top 10 players of the Fortinet Cups point list get Korn Ferry status. The top player is fully exempt on the Korn Ferry Tour and also gets an exemption in the RBC Canadian Open. So that's a pretty cool, that's a pretty cool thing. You don't go straight from the tour to PGA Tour. Nobody gets full tour status. So you work your way up to Korn Ferry. And then since its inception, 56 players have graduated to the PGA Tour, 14 players for 16 wins, but actually now it's 17 after this most recent win by Tony Finau at the 3M Open, because he's a graduate of the tour. So those were some of it, and some of the names on there: Nick Taylor, Tony Finau, Mackenzie Hughes, Aaron Wise, Adam Long, Corey Connors, CT Pan, Joel Damon, Cam Davis, Taylor Gooch, who left us, Sepp Straka, and JJ Spawn. So those are some of the higher profile names. So pretty good list of players, a lot of young and up and comers.
Yeah, and Jack got back to us right away. He wanted to get it right. This is a big deal for Cragans. It's a big deal for him. They're very excited about the idea that that they're hosting this. And so he wanted to get this stuff right, and good for him. You and I, we'd have just, whatever, maybe apologize, but he wanted to get this stuff as correct as possible. So Scott, there's a couple different things that we need to talk about with that real quick. There is an open qualifier, I believe, on that Monday at Deacon's Lodge that I've had a guy, that one of my better players here, he talked about trying to qualify. And then there's also the points race for the Minnesota section that I believe somebody we know in. Is that?
I snuck in. I saw Tone after Luther at the yacht club, and I played all right there. I got some points, and he said, before you were like less than a point from getting on. I was in 26, eked my way up. So hey, the goal is to get in that top 25. You got a chip in a chair, right, Greg?
Yeah. It's not like the points accumulate. It starts. I mean, it's just whoever shoots the lowest now. Correct?
Yes.
25.
Derek Holmes, I did hear, asked Tone if he could start at 8 under during the qualifier, because he led the points race, kind of like the FedEx Cup does for the Tour
FedEx
Championship.
Cup. Yeah,
Tour Championship.
No, that isn't how this works.
Yes.
And what day is that, Scotty? Is that August 8th? Is that coming up really quickly?
Yes, it is August 8th. It's a week from this next Monday.
So am I correct? I mean, I know I'm jumping the gun here. Well, we'll get to us a little bit later, but those were the apologies and some of the corrections that we need to make. Let's bring on Tone if we could. It's been a while. Again, we were supposed to do this last week, so we were going to talk about the State Open. That was the last major that we had. Big event. And Scotty and Tone, talk us through. You both were on site with that. Let us know what happened.
Yeah, it was a good 3 days. I mean, my biggest thing, obviously, with the State Open and even Tate Mark with 3 days of golf in an event is weather-wise, and we were pretty fortunate not having to have anything there. But in regards to the competition, I thought Bunker was a great host site. We increased the length of the rough, and I thought it played, tough for the players, but also provided some good scoring opportunities. I think one of the cool things that we had is in the final group going into the last day, 2 section pros were in that final group, which I know we talked earlier in the podcast earlier this year about a section pro winning the State Open, and it was pretty close this year. And we had Derek Holmes and Eric Rowland finish high up there, and it was cool to see. And obviously Van Holmgren winning, him and Caleb Van Ergen kind of just fought it out that last back 9 and just kept going birdies, and it was just a great event to see.
Tone, did you see 14 under out there when you and Scotty, you can chime in here too because you played in it. Did you guys see that kind of a number with the setup of the rough? Bunker's very straightforward, but again, it can play tough at times. So was that a number that you envisioned?
So last year Chaska was, I think, 12, and so I thought Bunker would maybe be around there or maybe a little less. So I kind of thought that's where it was going to end up. Some of these players, you could set up whatever, they'll still find ways to make good scores. I was a little, I guess, with the 8 under after round 2, I thought that was lower than what I thought. I thought we were going to get to 10 under or so by then. But so I was like, oh, maybe the score would be, 11 would win it or whatever. But yeah, both Van and Cam and Caleb just kind of took it off and fought it out the last few holes.
Yeah, I think Bunker is a great golf course if you hit it 300 plus. You can get to all the par 5s. You can hit irons off the tee on some of those tighter holes. I think that I was thinking 12, just with the level of players, and you look at the field and you look at the top, the top 10s, hats off to Eric and Derek and even Thomas Campbell, who was in that top 10 as well. For section guys, it's pretty impressive. I'm good friends with Eric Rowland, and I know Derek well too. So we were cheering for those guys. But you just felt like a Van, who's not in college anymore and now is pro, but Caleb, who's a college player, it felt like somebody was going to go low the last day, and the conditions were good. Course was set up well, and they went 7 under and 6 under, and it was just kind of a battle, which was fun to follow. Did you get out there and watch it all, Tone?
Yeah, I was out there a lot on the back 9. Obviously I wanted to watch one hole in particular to see how that would play out. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, hole 17 at Bunker. But other than that, I was out there and kind of followed the last few groups in the last 5-6 holes.
Tone, did you have a chance to talk to Van after and get saw him a couple years ago at Rush Creek. He was part of the battle with Brady Madsen, who of course was from Olivia, but not really from Olivia. Brady was also in the mix here again at 6 under. But did you get a chance to talk to Van after? Do you know his plans? I see the P by his name. Is he going to try to chase one of the tours? What's going on with his story?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't talk to him specifically about his plans. I mean, obviously I saw him after the state open, where he almost qualified for the 3M Open, and he was in a playoff over the last 2 spots. Yeah, I don't know specifically. I mean, I know he has some status on maybe the Canada Tour, so I know he got that exemption into the CRMC, so I imagine he's planning on playing in that. But yeah, I don't know too much. I think he's just, I would probably have to ask him exactly what his plans are.
Scotty, did you get any wind or any?
Well, I know he played. Obviously, he started at NDSU, and then he went down and played, I believe, in Florida. And yeah, I think he's playing some Dakotas Tour events. I think the state open win obviously got him some exemptions with that, obviously up at Craigan's. But I just got to say, like, I played with Van at the state open at Stone Ridge probably 5 or 6 years ago. And I was like, man, this guy hits it as far as I've seen, but he's got no clue where it's going. Like, just some shots that were 30 to 40 yards off. And that was right before he went to NDSU, and he's really toned his game on. I mean, he's always been able to make a lot of birdies. He's contended in state AMs, he's contended in state opens, and has probably been one of the best players in the state in the last 3-4 years, especially during the summer. So not surprising to see. I believe he's been working on his game with Snyder. So clearly he's got it dialed in, and yeah, a good week for him, the state open, and then almost getting into the 3M. That would have been awesome if he could have gotten to the 3M.
All right, the Van Aragon family. I think Catherine is Caleb's sister. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So do they have any other siblings that understand how to play this golf game?
I think it's just them two.
Yeah.
And they both take lessons from the Dr. Luke Benoit, and Catherine, I think, is in the mix at the women's state am currently, which is at Rochester. First round was yesterday. Caleb is very solid. He's at Valparaiso. Catherine's going to St. Thomas next year. It's going to be fun to watch them. They work hard on it. They're great players, really, really good players.
So Eric Roll, talk a little about him. He had a chance. I don't consider Roland a bomber. He must have really had his game going. He had it deep after the first 2 rounds. Was he 10 under? Shot even his last round.
8 under.
8 under through 2. Was leading, Tone, is that correct?
He was leading, yeah.
Did he give any indication of what happened in his last round, or did he just kind of run into a buzzsaw and couldn't find any birdies? What was going on with that?
I talked with Eric a little bit after the second round because I was late and he was in the morning, and I just said, "So what's going on? Are you just hitting well?" He's like, he worked on getting his ball flight a little bit higher because it's a little bit softer at bunker just because it is a public course and they keep it, green. So you're not getting as much roll. So he started hitting it a little bit higher. And he said that's all he was thinking about. And Eric, I put him in the top 5 of wedgers and short game of our section guys year after year. So I know he's not going for those par 5s and 2. So I think he was wedging it well and making some putts. And then it's just the law of averages. Like, if you're laying up all the time and trying to attack par 5s from 100 yards versus guys that are hitting it on the green in 2, they're just going to make more birdies. And that's ultimately what I think happened. I don't think Eric was disappointed with how he played in the final round. I mean, would he have liked to shot 6 under to win? For sure. But a 3rd place showing for him at, 46 is pretty impressive.
Hey, Tone, we have something that happened at the Luther Pro Series that we want to let you on. Next 2023 state opens at Oak Ridge, And we're on the driving range, and Don Barry says to Scotty, that's it. He's done with state opens. Scotty puts a wager out there. It says, it's Oak Ridge next year. You're playing for sure. And Don doubled down, says, no, I'm not. What side of the coin do you want to be on that one?
Don's playing. Don's playing.
Okay.
I mean, we need to talk about this a little bit because people don't know it, and it's an absolutely unbelievable stat. And I think it might be one of his great achievements is
He has a lot of them, Scotty.
Yes, 41 state opens, 41 cuts made.
That's crazy.
I know.
Okay, so the math says that he's 60.
He's 60. He's 60.
So he was 19 in
Yeah,
his first one,
I believe so. Yeah.
and he made every last cut.
Yes.
Huh? Huh? Never once had a bad day.
He's had bad days, and he's had to grind a couple of times the last couple of years to make the cut. I think this year even he chipped in on his second to last hole on day 2, and he was clear by 1 or 2. But yeah, it's impressive, and I think personally, I think Oak Ridge sets up well for him. So I fully believe he's going to play.
Well, you said that. I think you got a small little wager out there. I don't think anybody's going to get rich off it, but I think you got something going with Don, and we'll see what happens with that. All right, Tone, thanks a lot. Appreciate that. But before you go, Scott wants to say something to you about our open picks, the British Open picks. And he, Scott's been running the table here. Were you 3 for 3, Scotty, on the picks?
I was
and all
3 for 3. Yes.
All right, but Scott would like to. I think since you came up with the game, we picked 4 players. We did total money, and you would text me and said congratulations to this person. But I'll let you announce the winner of the British Open picks.
Yeah, this was going to be one of my apologies too to all my fans out there cheering me on for the Grand Slam and the picking. Just not going to happen this year. 3 out of 4 isn't bad, but. Tone, congratulations. Solid Cam Smith pick. Surprisingly, I re-listened to the episode as I do most weeks or most times, and he was the second to last pick, which is crazy. And when they talked about what is going to be the most important at St. Andrews, it's lag putting and putting. And Cam just out-putted everybody. And Jack Warrow had the prohibitive favorite. Rory McIlroy was the first pick, and Rory looked like he was there was no chance. Cam faltered a little bit on Saturday, but Cam just putted the eyes out of it on Sunday. And it was fun to watch. So congrats to you. You get to wear that hat now until next April.
Yeah.
I have been in a lot of pools. I haven't won many of them, so I'll take this little victory lap.
Well, you deserved it. Again, with the second to last pick in the draft, we all had a shot at him, Scotty, multiple times. Best I had was Dustin. Best you had was Fitzy, which I thought Fitzy played pretty good. It was. I don't want to say it was never in doubt, because if Rory had won, Jack really didn't have many other players. Will didn't do great. Leishman, I think he might have missed the cut.
Leishman missed the cut. EVR WD before the tournament, Jack.
So if Tone, we'd had to really do some math, because Schauffele and Schaffler were Tone's other picks, and Schaffler was doing well.
Scheffler.
I'm sorry, I combined the two.
You combined it.
I combined the two. Scheffler was doing well. He kind of quit on Sunday, and I think Schauffele finished 20th. He finished back a little bit.
He was right. He was in the top 25 for sure.
Yeah, but again, he wasn't threatening. So if Rory had won, we'd had to really do some math, because it might have got close there, was my point. But with Cameron Smith winning, it was obvious. So congratulations, Tone. Great job. All right, let's bring on Kaylee. We haven't had Kaylee in a while, Scotty. You've had to pull the wagon for a little bit on the state of the section, but we got her back. So
It has been a while.
Kaylee, bring us some good stuff with the section.
Yeah, well, a first huge shout out to Tom Hoagie. our friend Tom Hoagie has donated $50,000 to the Minnesota section, which is a huge gift, a great honor. We're super stoked that he, has chosen us for this gift. So this money has moved towards the junior golf space, and it has helped our mini and prep tour members. This past season, they got one event for free, which is really cool. A really cool thing to get kids interested in the game of golf, and his gift continues for the next couple of years.
Yeah, Kaylee, that's really big news. We heard about this after his victory at Pebble Beach, and nothing had fully to fruition yet until the announcement was made. And we just can't thank Tom enough. And of course, this makes it really easy for us to cheer for him in every event. Not that we weren't anyways, but when a guy does something like this, that, I mean, $50K is stupid money, Scotty. I just, it's super impressive.
Yeah, it's I found it awesome. I saw the press release on the PGA Tour, and Tom and his wife both were members of the Players Tour, went through it. And so it's a great story of knowing your roots and giving back to it. So it's awesome. Can't thank them enough. Hopefully someday I can see him in person and thank him, because it's great.
Yeah, we're going to probably bring Tone back on at some point, but I'm guessing they cross paths because Tone was on that first tee a little bit, but boy, that's a wonderful deal. So thanks for bringing that to us, Kaylee. Again, that's something we're super proud of.
Yeah, for sure. So secondly, just a great shout out to the 3M. This was a new thing that they had offered to us this year. As you know, we partner with them for our junior scholarship, and they actually had our scholarship winners out. It was for the Golf for All Day at the 3M, which is a really cool honor. Our scholarship winners got to go out there and be recognized in front of a huge crowd, and it was just a really cool opportunity for them. I know the kids that attended had a really fun time, so thanks to them.
Oh my goodness, that just hit me, Kaylee. I had somebody, one of my members the other day, say to me, "You know what my dream is, Greg?" And I'm like, "No, what is it?" He goes, "I want to play in front of a crowd." And I was like, "That's interesting." I go, I didn't think that would be something, but that is something that those kids will probably, because they got to play, right?
They didn't get to play necessarily, but they were just recognized. And like kind of an award ceremony thing.
Okay.
But they got full access to the grounds. They got to see it. They got to bring, 2 or 3 guests. So it was a really cool experience for them, I think.
Oh, so they were introduced in front of everybody.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Well, they didn't have to get all nervous then at that young age.
Yeah, not yet.
You know how you feel, Scotty. You're used to being introduced and played in front of crowds. You know what that's about.
Yeah, but there's not many people watching me. Let's be honest, Greg.
What are you talking about? You're a top 25 CRMC player.
Yeah, but not like tour. Could you imagine hitting a shot on 17 at the 3M with the grandstands there?
No, I can't. Kaylee, how many scholarship winners did we have with that?
5 were able to attend. We have 8 total, but 5 were
Okay.
able to show up in person.
That's an awesome deal. That's we had some fun with the 3M.
Yeah.
And Tone, are you still available? Did you get to do some announcing over there? And you did like every day. Did you take PTO for this, or was that on the clock?
No, it's all on the clock. So
Scotty, we're okay with that, right?
Oh yeah, he's wearing the badge, and he's shaking hands. He's trying to just talk to somebody else, and maybe Tom Hoagie will find the next Tom Hoagie.
That's right. Tone, give us a little bit of your 3M experience.
Yeah, no, it was awesome, obviously to come back and do it again. First 2 days were off a hole 10, and then so a couple just hour shifts and just talked to some players. One of the cool stories was in our Monday qualifier. One of the qualifiers his name was Andre Metzger. He was an older individual. Really, he's never qualified for a tour event before, from Scottsdale, Arizona, and he kind of pushed through kind of that playoff. So I talked to him obviously after the playoff about the experience, and then the PGA Tour live crew, or one of them, was kind of documenting his experience for the week. And so they started at Victory Links, and then they got him all the way through his first tee, which I announced him on Thursday. So it was kind of cool to see that. Then obviously Saturday, Sunday off of hole one was a great experience. I did speak to Tom Hoagie and I said thank you to him. So that was really nice. And it's just, all the players, most of them are really good. And I think, coming back in the second year, it's a little more comfortable doing it. And I did have to do I didn't do official rulings, but go over rulings for the second day and go over preferred lies that they played that day. So it gave me something a little more than just, here's your scorecard and order a play.
So Tone, you did it last year. You were asked to come back. Scott, what is it like to do it one year and then not be asked back?
Well, in my defense, let's just put it this way. The last name that I announced on the first tee was out of Rancho Santa Fe, California, Colin Morikawa. So that's a pretty good one to end up.
So what happened, do you think? Did you screw up too many names like I do? Or?
Well, here's the greatest story. You guys are going to love this. So it's Chandler Withington and I. We're on the tee. We're rotating groups. And, we had some good players come through. DeChambeau, Charles Howell III. Do we see a trend? All these guys that are jumping ship. Anyways, so Charles Howell III, hands down, nicest guy in the world. So a group comes up. I'm like, this is perfect. It worked out for me. 2 Scotts, Scott Brown, Scott Piercy. And we start talking and I'm like, well, my name's Scott. And we're like, we got 3 on the first tee. Who's the oldest? Piercy's the oldest. So I get up and I'm like, out of Las Vegas, Nevada, Scott Percy. I said Percy instead of Piercy. And he gave me a look. He gave me this look, which he gave that look a lot on Sunday because he wasn't making any putts. He gave me the same look. So maybe that's why. Scott's been a proud supporter of the event since, and maybe he's like, yeah, that guy can never come back. He's gone.
He gone.
So, but I'm going to ask Tone this, and I thought it was very cool seeing that Tone got to announce Jeff Sorensen, our section member who played in the 3M this week. But Tone, wouldn't you agree? I'm sure the feel on the weekend's a lot different. It's a lot more serious. The guys aren't most of the guys, not very chatty. They're just kind of in their zone. They're locked in. They know what they want to do. They've got their routine. They're like, hey, nice to meet you. And that's pretty much it. Very little chitter chatter. Wouldn't you agree, Tone?
Yeah, there's not really much, obviously, some of the players that I saw multiple days, you maybe after a day or so you warm up, but you're not really chatting with any of them too much. Probably the nicest tour pro on the tee that I had was Peter Malnati. He always acknowledged the crowd, acknowledged me, acknowledged the volunteers, and you would announce his name and he'd look at you, or he'd be like, oh, thank you so much, and they'll look at the crowd and say thanks. So that was cool to see. But it's kind of like those, they just kind of get in their zone, and sometimes they don't grab their card or they're doing whatever. I just kind of have to go up to them and say, here's this is the order, and you kind of feel like you're interrupting them, but it's like, well, you got to take this at some point. They should know. So that was really cool. I mean, one story from last year I had was Ben Crane, which I think he played this year, but he didn't make the cut. But he texted me before the Monday qualifier last year, and he was asking me to move his tee time. I'm like, no, Mr. Crane, we can't do that. So then I saw him on the 3M Open day, and I was like, hey, Mr. Crane, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Tone. And he's like, oh, you're the guy who was texting the guy who I was told to talk to. I'm like, yeah. And then he just kind of walked away, and then he looked back at me and he's like, man, you're a lot younger than I thought you'd be. So that was kind of a cool story, but I didn't have too much of that. But touching on Sorny, that was another highlight there. And I asked a lot of the tour, they give you a script and they kind of want you to follow the script and they don't want you to go too much. And when I went to the rules van before the first day, I asked him, can I throw in something for Sorensen in addition to just saying his name and his hometown? And I said, they asked me, well, what you want to do? I said, I want to announce him as the 2021 Minnesota PGA Player of the Year. And based on the grouping, they let me do it. And he had a lot of local support. We got video of that, which is really cool. And yeah, it was just awesome atmosphere for him, and he got some applause on that first hole. Obviously, in his approach shot, I think he hit it well, so it was a good start for him.
Good stuff. Yeah, we still are in state of the section, Kaylee. You got any more for us?
Just one quick shout out. Junior PGA Championship is coming up August 2nd through the 5th, and we had some qualifiers from our Minnesota section. So Jack Schrader and Ryan Stendal are headed out there, along with Catherine Van Aragon and Reese McCulley. So good luck to those guys.
Where are they going?
They're going to Cog Hill.
Ooh, Chicago.
Yep.
The Windy City.
And that's Derek Stendal's son, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Good for him. That's awesome to see our PGA professionals kids doing well. Scotty, you got some of those kids that might be heading up in the ranks here soon, huh?
Well, I will have to say, just as we're talking state of the section, humble dad brag, the girls went to the drive, chip, and putt up at Rose Creek, Mr. Cook's facility, and Amelia McDonald has advanced on to the next stage, which is at Osgood on August 5th, which dad will not be able to be there because he'll be at Braemar. So mom is going to be caddying and helping her out.
Wow, priorities. You're going to choose a little tournament over being a good dad.
I told Julie it's just the start. We can't make everything, Greg. You don't make everything.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that, Tone and Kaylee. I do think that we've overcoddled in this in society. So I agree with it. So Kaylee, anything else to add for the state of the section?
That's it for this week.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Really appreciate it. Scotty, let's move on to next topic, which is kind of it was going to be in your state of the section, but people like to know how bad you're whipping on me. I've really fallen apart a couple times when I had you beat. I went double bogey finish at White Bear. I actually had a shot to take you at your home track at Faribault here. I've only played in 2 events in July. It's been pretty quiet for me, and then Eagle Creek, way back, I double bogeyed the last hole to let you have that win. I believe it's 11-2 right now. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're right. When's our next matchup going to be?
Braemar.
Braemar.
I call it Bremer.
It's Braemar.
Braemar.
Yeah, it just chalk it up to those mispronunciations.
I have a lot of them.
Schaffler.
Shoffley and Schaffler. What did I say?
Schaffler.
Yeah. Yeah, it's perfect.
So we've got that. You're not playing the spam?
No, I've got those. How about Crosswoods? Are you doing that?
I am not. Geneva,
I'll be at that one.
Hey, this is the big matchup. Geneva, where our teams tied last year for first place. Remember that?
I do remember, and I think you guys beat us in the playoff, right?
Yeah, the scorecard playoff.
Yeah, because we got second. So it gave us some motivation to go back and do better. We really played great. We had a couple chip ins. I think we had 11 natural birdies in our group, which again, when you don't have a lot of handicap, you got to do that. But we played great. So, all right, more to come. August is thick. We got a lot of stuff, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But just like every other piece of media, I got to ask you some of the latest and greatest live things that are happening and what's going on in that world. It is snuck in to affecting the PGA of America, Scott. I think this is what I'm most upset about. We'll get into that a little bit as we I know we're a long ways away from the Ryder Cup. I haven't heard much deal about the President's Cup. Don't know where that lands with the live guys and how that all looks. But bottom line is I would like to get your take on the latest. Obviously, some new guys going over, like you say, Charles Howell, one of the nicest guys out there. Scotty, overall, my question is, are you mad, sad, or other with the guys who have gone over to live?
I guess I'm other, because I don't blame the guys that are going over there. You look at where they're at their careers for the most part. As we've talked, it's they could be in contention, most of them, but a lot of them, for the most part, you wouldn't say they're in their prime. So I don't blame them for trying to maximize their value. I am utterly sad just because we've got events now, the 3M Open this week, Rocket Mortgage, that this has been a strategic dismantling of the PGA Tour, because now what you've got is these events that aren't premier events. The field is very, very thin. And the one guys that used to be able to carry it, the household names, the Charles Howells, the Sergio Garcias, they're not playing in those events anymore. So those events are losing in value. And as you know, if you don't have a great field, a good size field for a Pro-Am, think about the event at Eagle Creek. Are the sponsors going to kick in for a less than up to par event? And that's where I'm very scared. I'm not scared for Bay Hill or the Memorial. I'm scared for these events. And that's what makes me sad, because I feel like,
Scotty, the 3M was perfect. I think Patrick Reed's played in the 3M. Is that correct?
Yes.
In the past?
DeChambeau, DJ, Koepka, all those guys, they were the premier people. So, and now you're hearing sorry to cut you off. Now you're hearing Matsuyama is going to be the next one. And then that happens at the end of the 3M and EWDs. It was it felt weird.
Yeah, and a new one is Bubba Watson too, which actually doesn't shock me. I think and then they're going to cut it off because there's only 48. They did a story on the 8 guys who've already been bumped out that were down in the bottom rung, now they're going to have a play-in type of a deal to figure out next year's 14 events where the purse is just astronomical. Okay, next question. I don't want to get too in the weeds here because this is important to what we do. We are the PGA of America. We're part of it. This is a big deal to us. The Ryder Cup is huge. How do you, if you're involved in the decision-making of what's going forward, Scott, how are you right now going to save the Ryder Cup? What are you going to do? And I hate to use those words because maybe it doesn't need saving. You can go down that road if you want. But right now, a year and, oh boy, what are we? A year and 2 months away. What are you going to do? Obviously, the Stenson news is huge. I think it's huge. Europe does not have a Ryder Cup captain right now. I mean, it's just crazy to think about. What are you going to do if you're part of that decision-making? Talk to me.
Well, technically, I am somewhat involved just based on a leadership standpoint. And
that is true.
Yeah.
You do have input.
Yeah. So and we've got an annual meeting prior to it, which I'm sure that will be a big discussion. I think the biggest thing that you need to look at is what is the criteria going to be for the Ryder Cup? Because the criteria, certainly points can be accumulated in events, the Masters, the US Open, the PGA, and the Open Championship. Now, some of these players that have left aren't playing tour events each week, but they're still playing the majors as of right now. So someone, let's say, for instance, Sergio Garcia doesn't play a tour event and wins multiple majors next year. He would be on that points list for the Ryder Cup. So you need to figure out what is the points going to be and how is that going to work. But the biggest thing ultimately that needs to be determined is right now, in order to play in the Ryder Cup, you need to be a PGA member. In order to be a PGA member, you need to be a PGA Tour member, which the LIV players are not. So that is the biggest thing that needs to be determined, is that criteria. Is that going to be changed or is it not? And if it isn't, then there's no way that these guys can play in the Ryder Cup.
So your push, Scott McDonald, when you're down in Arizona in November, you're going to push to have an exemption, or are you going to push to just go with different players? Again, when John Rahm says, I want Sergio on my team, doesn't that scream that he's saying, come on, it's okay. I get it that you got to kick him off the DP or whatever, but they've qualified. They're good enough. They're our top guys. They draw a crowd. Because again, love them or hate them. So, those guys that are kind of the nice guys, they don't get both sides of it, right? Sergio gets watched because you love him or you hate him. one of the two, and it's just the greatest thing. So which side, what are you thinking, Scotty? Are you going to push to get rid of that one little clip it for the rule, or what? I don't know what the great answer is here.
Yeah, and as you can see, I don't know either. I haven't made up my mind on what it is. I value what we've got as PGA members and how we've had it in the past and why we have it that way. And clearly we've done it right. I will give the PGA of America a lot of credit. We haven't made a rash decision and said, here's what we're going to do. We have the ability to wait it out because the Ryder Cup isn't until next fall. So I think they're doing their due diligence, and I know for a fact that it's being talked about at the highest level. I'm sure on a regular basis because the Ryder Cup is a big deal. The one thing I will say that I thought about this morning on a side note is the PGA Championship is now increasing in value. If you let the live players play, we only now have 4 times a year where the best players in the world are competing against each other. And the PGA Championship is one of those events. So it is clearly increasing in value because of that. They're limited commodities now. It used to be 10, 12, 14 events a year. Now it's just 4. That's it.
So a separate topic, you want the live guys still eligible for these majors, correct?
Well, if they qualify through the exemptions, which is going to be a lot tougher because it's based on, tour,
But not for Phil Mickelson.
No, for past champions, not a big deal. Guys that have won majors in the last 5, not a big deal. But a Henrik Stenson, his Open Championship win still might not get him into the PGA Championship, and he's clearly not going to get in through PGA Tour top 30 money or anything like that. So it's going to be tougher for a lot of them. Bubba Watson, I don't know how he'd get exempt into the PGA Championship right now. He's never won it. His Masters wins have went back too far. He's 82nd in the world. He's probably not exempt.
Right. That's a really good point. Okay. More to come, Scotty. We're going to hit this topic. I mean, we have to, of course. It's actually, once it affects your pocketbook, you have to start looking at it, right? Until it affected the pocketbook, whatever. But now when we're talking Ryder Cup, yeah, it's a big deal. Can we bring Tone back on? We got some major news. Many of you have already heard about it. But we here at Club Pro Chatter, we want to be the leaders in tournament golf. We want to be the people that you get your tournament golf info, Minnesota section wise. We've talked about this with state opens, and we've got big news that has already gone out, but we want to talk about it here. I don't know which one of you two wants to make this announcement. Scotty, we should probably put it on you. And then
no, it isn't me. Tone can make the decision.
Why not?
Or make the announcement because Tone's the director of competitions of the Minnesota PGA.
Okay, but I thought maybe the secretary of the PGA, maybe that would have some say in this. But Tone, are you okay with making this major announcement that's going to affect, let's see, last year we had 100 and some players, so going to affect some people. So go ahead, Tone, give it to us.
Yeah, no, I'll make the announcement. So about this last week, we made the decision and sent it out to the membership that the site for the Minnesota PGA Professional Championship this year is going to be changed to Minnewaska Golf Club. And then in 2023, we are going to return to the Wilderness at Fortune Bay. So just, the northern kind of territory, kind of that far up, has had a tough winter, and we just want to make sure that the host facility and everybody has a great time and is represented well. So we thank the Wilderness and Ryan Peterson and all their staff for kind of working with us on that, and we're excited to return there next year. And we are thankful to Minnewaska Golf Club for in such a quick time frame deciding to pick up the event and host it next month. So it's gonna be a good event.
So first question about this, because I'm sure all the listeners who heard this are probably thinking the same thing. What kind of hush money did Scott have to put in to get this? I'm just kidding. Break it down a little bit for us. I don't think it's any secret. that there's been some clubs up in the north that have had a tough winter. I mean, we saw it at the Preserve. It just takes a long time to get we have tee boxes here at Olivia that are still bad from a year ago. It just takes time to get some of these things back. So Scott, explain some of the process. Ryan's been great through all this. And again, moving these type of events is not as easy as it sounds. There's so many moving parts to this that this took an act of Congress more or less to do. So talk us through a little bit of that, Scotty.
Yeah, first off, I was very excited to go to Wilderness. That's where the first section championship that I played at and actually qualified for in my first one. So I loved the place. I was just up there and we stayed in Ely. I drove by it. I didn't play because it was a family vacation, but we ultimately drove by it a couple of times and I just love the place. It's phenomenal. And but yeah, as you mentioned, multiple courses have had some issues coming out of the winter, and we wanted to make sure that we put the Wilderness in a positive light when they host it. And we want that experience to be great for the players, but also great for the facility. It's a big PR and marketing chip for the facilities to say, hey, we hosted the Minnesota PGA Professional Championship. So that was, we not only wanted to protect the integrity of the event, but also the integrity of the club. So that was a big thing. And we did, as a section, hats off to Tone, JD. They did their due diligence and made sure like the communication was open. It wasn't just like, hey, we're going to switch this. And then when you're talking about switching it, there's only so many facilities that, number one, have it available on their calendar. It's 6 weeks away. Number two, have to be a club car facility, which is the biggest caveat of it all, that it has to be a club car facility. And number three, that are willing and say, hey, I'm willing to partner with the PGA. So the list there wasn't a long list, because it's not like we go into a year and say, here's our contingency plan. If whatever the event is, if Southview can't host the state open, or Bunker can't hold, or whatever, you know what I mean. So
your tape mark you're talking about, if something, comes up with that, and all of a sudden you got to make a quick switch. And Tone, just so people are clear, this doesn't make it any easier on you. This probably makes things a little bit more difficult for a tournament. I know we had a big storm come through a Saturday, and I had a huge tournament, and all I could think about was, I don't have any reschedule option. This has to happen. And so for tournament directors, it's like, this isn't fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely, it was definitely a couple, weeks of thinking about and trying to get everything done. And, like I said, but, working with Minnewaska and the Wilderness, it was quite, like Scott said, open communication, quite easy. It wasn't stressful. There wasn't any, back and forth. It was like, let's make it the best for the event, thinking about the tournament and thinking about, the facilities. So it was quite easy in that way. So I'm fortunate for all sides of that, and, excited for Minnewaska. I saw it a couple weeks ago for the first time, and it's going to play tough. It'd be interesting.
Yeah. And so Minnewaska is a fun track. I love it. And of course I was joking earlier, because again, Minnewaska was going to happen in 2023. So this really doesn't change a whole lot for the venues, other than that they're just flopping years. And so it's the best for everybody. It makes a lot of sense. And again, it's great for Scotty, but it was going to happen next year anyways. I don't think you're close enough to a heart attack, Scott, where we have to start thinking, like maybe you won't be around for the next one. I think you're in pretty good shape. So I start thinking that way for me. I got to think, well, maybe I won't make another one. So you don't have to worry about that. That was going to happen. But glad for Waska. Thank you, Casey. All the guys there, Bob Miller, and you, Scotty, I know had to go to bat with the board for Waska too, because they're giving up some dates, and they had to be okay with, do we have anything on the calendar, or can we move the calendar? A lot of us have our calendars full already, and it's really a credit to everybody involved that had that happen. So any final words on that, you two?
Yeah, I think it's, and Tone talked about it with Kelly when they released the announcement. This is Minnewaska, this isn't their first big event that they've hosted the PGA. They hosted the Junior Girls PGA Championship, which Kaylee just alluded to. It was a national qualifier. And then we also had the Senior PGA Professional Championship. And it's been a great site. And, they've hosted 2 Pro-Ams the last 4 years and a Pro-Am for 10 plus years. So the club has been a big supporter of the PGA. And this is just a testament to, and they've hosted a Players Tour event every year. So it's like, hey, this is a facility that's partnered with the PGA. And this is the PGA's, arguably, I think if we all agree, because we're all PGA members here, this is the biggest event for us each year. So it was just kind of the next step for Minnewaska to host an event of this magnitude. So I will say this, one last thought. And I was at a place this past week that I think we should look at for a section championship.
Ely?
I was up at my buddy's cabin on Big Sandy, and this place has got a Pro-Am this year. Their
McGregor.
club car facility, Minnesota National, Chad Weiss. It is a great facility. It is a tough golf course, Greg. He said they just re-rated it. Almost 77 from the back tees. So buckle up for when the Pro-Am's there, late September. I'm sure it's going to be cold. The ball's going to go nowhere. It's really great. And I think it's for sure, once we start looking outstate again, in a couple of years, Chad's done a great job there. They've got a great clubhouse, lodging on site. I think it would be a great spot.
Tone, put it on. Nice plug, Scotty. Great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously working with Chad on the Pro-Am, it was something that he wants to have discussions for other things. So we said, let's do a Pro-Am and get it up there. And so, yeah, definitely a consideration.
Tone, Chad talked to me and Scotty at the 100 Holes of Hope. And he says, you guys got to be in. I need you in. And we're like, yeah, we plan stuff. We're going to go. And then he started telling us about his owner and what he wants to throw into this thing. And me and Scott went literally just like this. We're like, no. And his owner is all in on this baby. Right, Scotty?
For sure. It's going to be a great event. And I hope that the members support him, because I got a feeling if you get up there and see it, that we'll have something there. And they're doing, it's tough, but they're making some renovations to make it more playable. And I think the renovations they're making, it's a great facility, and Chad's done a great job there. If he hasn't gotten nominated for Facility Promoter of the Year on that side, he should, because he's doing a great job up there.
Gave me a great idea. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'll plug that in. All right, Tone, thanks a lot. Scotty, thanks for another great podcast this morning. By the way, great job by you with starting the ball rolling at Minnewaska. You deserve a lot of credit for that. I don't think Waska was on the PGA map until you got there. A lot of people don't know that, but good job that you've done there. I know that you're still part of that, and you're part of that leadership team, if you will. And Casey has done a great job taking over for you when you abandoned Chip up there. But we're glad that you don't roll your eyes.
Hey, I like how you put the dagger in there. So one thing, are we going to get our preview of Minnewaska for the section members?
Listen, maybe we can tip it because it'll force us to do it. But again, if we can't find a date, I don't know what happened, but maybe let's just announce it. We are going to try, Scotty and I, and Tony and Kaylee have to be a part of this, or at least Kaylee. We're going to try to do a section preview. We're going to do an 18-hole little podcast, and we're going to try to talk you through the little quirks up there at the Minnewaska Golf Club. It'll be something that you'll want to catch. Scotty, what do you have to add to that?
Yeah, I think for sure the members that have played in the Pro-Ams in the past are going to have a leg up. Would you say, Greg?
100%. You cannot go to Waska blind. Hello.
Yeah.
You cannot go to Waska blind if you want to win the section championship. Just call it that.
Yep. It's you gotta. So there will be the pro the day before. The greens for sure are the most difficult thing.
17 on the stem.
So, well, they're not 17 on the stem. So let's maybe 13 and a half. But yeah. 17 on the stimp when it's blowing 30 and straight down.
Yeah, it's
Hook hill,
ridiculous.
baby. Yeah.
They're so crisp and pure. See, I tried to say crisp and
Yeah.
pure at the same time. That again, downhill, downwind, they're 17.
Yeah, it's so that, and it's for sure you got to take the thing that's great about Minnewaska, you got to take care of the par fives and the par threes because there's 5 of each. There's 10 of them, so there's way more. You know, there's
And you got
more.
to take care of the par fours.
Well, yeah, you take care of all 18 holes, you probably got a pretty good chance. But for sure out there, trouble and reward are most evident on the par threes and the par fives.
All right, Scotty, that's all we got for today. Great job here. Season 5, episode 6, Club Pro Chatter, brought to you by
Ripstick. Hey,
Okay.
by the way, I did some counting before I ruined your closing. This is episode 35.
Hey, nice.
So
Well,
now
when
we
get
can
to-
just go 36.
Yeah, when we get to episode number 50, maybe we'll have some sort of special gathering. But anyways, great job today, Kaylee. Great job, Tone. Thanks a lot, Scotty. We hope to see you all in a couple weeks, and keep an eye on YouTube for that preview. We'll pump it out somewhere, but it's going to happen. I hope it happens now because we've said we're going to do it. So everybody, hope you have a great day.